unfortunately, and I'm pretty sure that's Evan Ingram of the New York Giants.
You're so right. All right, any guesses who player A? Oh, well, there we go. Well, we just gave it away. So there you go. Well, player A, none other than Robert Tonyan. Right. Listen, he's tied with Travis Kelce for the most touchdown receptions by a tight end this season. He was not the Pro Bowler. It was Evan Ingram who earned his first Pro Bowl selection of his career. I don't want to throw any shade toward Evan Ingram. I'm real happy for him, but that one was kind of a shocker.
He's a baller, dude.
I know. He didn't make the Pro Bowl. All right, we got a couple snubs there. Anyway, let's talk Tua in Miami. The Dolphins currently hold the number 7 and final playoff seed. Still need wins in their final 2 games, though. At the Raiders on Saturday night is their next game. And then at the Buffalo Bills January 3rd. They need those 2 wins to make the playoffs, which means significant pressure on the rookie Tua Tagovailoa. Now, look, Tua's been great at taking care of the ball this season, but has he really elevated the Dolphins' offense? Well, let's look at the numbers. Miami's offense actually has a much higher efficiency rating when Ryan Fitzpatrick starts this season compared to Tua. It's the defense that's been the difference when Tua's been out there, ranking 16th in the league in efficiency when Fitzpatrick started, 4th when Tua has started. And as we know, Mina's Twitter account states it. She says it all the time. Wins are not a quarterback stat. So, Dan, the numbers say the offense under Tua hasn't been as good as Fitzpatrick. What have you seen out of the rookie?
Well, I'm sure as heck not going to sit here and allow the numbers to hate on Tua. I watched that performance on Sunday, and it reminded me of like a young Tom Brady type performance.
Whoa.
We talked last week, and we were like, how do you not lose this football game? First of all, I love the creativity that Chan Gailey brought to the run game. You see the pre-snap motion. Watch the backside defenders just have to play hesitant and where this run hits inside. Motion across, now you come back where you started from. Those defenders that are paying attention there, they're the guys that are supposed to be filling those gaps in the run game. But Tua, make sure you don't hold on to the ball and be accurate with your decision making. You're going to see a very similar motion at a two-level RPO. If those defenders come, you got a stick concept and out in a flat route. Now read J.C. Jackson. If he plays in between, he can make that play on the inside receiver, but you out-leverage him to the flat. Get the ball up, but got to be perfect ball placement. On the face mask, 2nd and 6, that short throw becomes a first down. Down in the red zone, do the very same thing. Again, that same motion with that stick concept. But if you see that corner get perpendicular with his shoulders to the line of scrimmage, that ball's got to go outside, but you can't throw it inside. It's got to be absolutely perfect. Out in front, right on the chest, easy completion, but it results in another first down. Tua was great. I mean, I was so impressed with don't hold the football. Don't be careless with it. Make sure you're staying ahead of the chains. He wasn't working with the full arsenal. So don't hurt your offensive line and don't demand so much of your skill players. I was once again impressed with how Tua navigated the football team.
I was really impressed too. And Dan, you talked about Tua and how he kind of reminded you of a young Tom Brady. We compare the Dolphins to the Patriots a lot for obvious reasons. The former coaches, the fact that they're built back to front on defense. But I thought this game exemplified why they truly are New England South Beach, which is that they're adaptable. That's what's made Bill Belichick so special over the years. It's not just that he's a defensive genius. It's that he treats every week like it's a different game, which sounds dumb, but a lot of coaches in the NFL don't do this. Miami came into this game as one of the worst rushing teams in football. And what did? They ran it 40 times and passed it 26. Because New England, which is a very light defense, I mean, they prefer to play sub packages. They don't have a lot of stoutness up front. They can't stop the front. They stop the run, rather. The Dolphins recognized that weakness. They played the mismatch. That is what good teams do in the NFL, and that's what's impressed me so much about this team. They are scrappy, and they are adaptable, and that's why they have a chance to win a playoff game.
Yeah, I like the pressure that they're taking off of Tua by what they're doing defensively, right? Giving him extra possessions, creating those turnovers, short fields. Like that is paramount when we start talking about this particular point of the season. Outside of the Kansas City Chiefs, the Dolphins turned them over 4 times. You're supposed to win those games. Right. But, we all know what's transpiring in Kansas City. But when you look at this team from a defensive standpoint and a coaching standpoint, this is going to be a tough out in the playoffs for anybody, especially if you're going to tell me the rookie quarterback is not going to make the mental errors and turn the ball over either. Xavier Howard gotta be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation, y'all. We talking about a front. Ogba finally got back on track last week. Like, this defense stops the run. They can rush you with 4 when they want to and lock down on the outside. They have everything you need from that side of the ball to create havoc for any offense that's coming into the building or even when they're traveling. This is a really good football team that people are going to have to pay attention to in the playoffs.
You mentioned the importance of holding on and taking care of the football by Tua Tagovailoa. It's something that Nick Saban emphasizes so much. Jalen Hurts does it. Tua Tagovailoa does it.
Yeah.
They both went to Alabama. Okay, the Dolphins playing the Raiders this Saturday. Adam, what do we know about the Raiders quarterback situation?
Laura, here's the very latest from Las Vegas's practice today. Derek Carr was limited at practice. However, the Raiders head coach John Gruden said that Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota shared and alternated snaps during practice, which would tell you that the Raiders have not given up hope that Carr can play this weekend, despite the fact that it looked unlikely after he left the game last week with that groin injury early on Thursday Night Football against the Chargers. But clearly, they're getting Carr some work at practice. They're getting Mariota some work at practice. You would have thought there would have been Marcus Mariota, but the Raiders are not ready to go in that direction just yet, at least not publicly.
Yeah, Mariota did well for himself when we saw him in that game last week. Thanks, Adam. Also, let's get back to our developing story here. Social media photos of Dwayne Haskins, the Washington football team quarterback, surfaced at a strip club on Sunday night, this after a loss by Washington. He has since apologized on Twitter, saying his actions were immature and taking responsibility for those. That, of course, something that we're monitoring, as Washington has said they are well aware of that. But we now bring in our ESPN reporter, Kimberly Martin. Kimberly, Haskins, not the only story out of Washington. Dan Snyder in the news as well. What more do we know about that news surrounding Snyder?
Yeah, Laura, at a time when the team is just focused on football, now another allegation of sexual misconduct, multiple reports detailing that the Washington football team settled a sexual misconduct allegation with a former employee back in 2009. The league, as we know, has been investigating Daniel Snyder and the team. After we've had a lot of reports about this organization involving former employees. But why this is different is that this is the first time we've heard Dan Snyder directly linked to bad behavior, and he was accused by a former employee. This is the first time we've heard that. Before, he has mentioned that he was unaware of how former employees and cheerleaders were treated